Okay, girls, so today's lesson is we're going to be talking about area of rectangles, triangles, parallelograms, rhombuses, or rhombi, I must say. Uh, the plural is rhombi, and kites. So, first, just to recap, because a lot of one of the biggest mistakes that students make is that they confuse perimeter and area when they're calculating it. So remember that perimeter is the distance around a shape. So always imagine you walking around the shape. What is the distance that you're covering? And it's in length in its units. And then the area is the amount of shape or the amount of space at shape fields, and it's two-dimensional and it's squared units. So, and we already talked about this one, so I'm not going to spend too much time talking about this because we already covered this when we did conversion of units. So first, let's talk about the area of the rectangle. So you know this one, so I'm just going to go through this one very quickly. The area of the rectangle is going to be equals to length times width, and that will give me the amount of space that that shape is filling. Agree? So this is the amount of space that this rectangle is filling. Wonderful. So that's going to give me the area. We always that we talk about the rectangle, we talk about the special case. You know what I'm talking about. So the special case is when we have a square, and the square, the only characteristic special about the square is that all sides measure the same. That means that in this case the length and the width are the same. Therefore, if we talk about what is the area of the square, is going to be length square. Beautiful. Now let's talk about the area of the triangle. You did this one in year 7, but in case that you don't remember. So for area of triangle, we need two definitions that are quite important. One is the base. So the base is, in this case of this triangle, is going to be this one. And the height is going to be always perpendicular to the base. Okay, so it's perpendicular, and you can see that we had this very important right angle triangle to symbolize that we have these two which are perpendicular. So what is important about this one? You might be asking, how do I know that this one is not the base? So you could pick this one as the base, but if you pick this one as the base, then you have to find what is going to be the perpendicular to this line, and that's going to give you the height once you find what is the perpendicular to this one. Okay, so what is important is that the base and the height are perpendicular. So I'm going to write that here because that's the important thing. Base is perpendicular. Remember this, you learned this in year 9, this symbol. Base is perpendicular to height. This is extremely important. So write it down in your notes, highlight it, because that's the important thing for the triangles. Okay, let's I think I have another example here. Perfect. So we can see in this example that I have here, again, you see in this case the base was selected, like in here was a different side, so it's not that clear which one is the height in there. So they calculated here that is perpendicular is this one here, and again we have that very, very, very important right angle here. So then I have the base and the height. Beautiful. And let's look at another example. So the triangle that I have in here is, I'm going to highlight it here with this blue because you might not see very clear. The triangle that I have in here is this one that I'm covering with this blue pen. Okay, and in this case I have the base in here, so I'm going to highlight the base. That's the base of the triangle. Okay, only this bit here. And then what is the height? So to find the height, what they had was they did a projection of that base to find where it's going to be the height, and they found it here. And once they have completed that height, then you can see here that we have our right angle triangle here, which means that base and height are being perpendicular. And when we have that, so what is going to be the area of the triangle is going to be base times height divided by 2. I'm not going to go into the details of how this formula is found because you did that in year 7. Okay, wonderful. Okay, the area of the parallelogram, you also did this one in year 7. So again, we have our base and our height, and you guess it, base and height have to be perpendicular, and here I have the right angle that is showing me that this is perpendicular. Okay, and the area of the parallelogram is going to be, I'm going to write it here, the area of the parallelogram is going to be equal to base times height. Great. Okay, the last one that we have to cover today is the area of a rhombus and a kite. So here to my left I have a rhombus, and here to my right I have a kite. As you can see, the rhombus is a special case of the kite because it means that both the 4 sides measure the same, whereas in a kite, I'm going to highlight it so you can see what I'm talking about here. This side and this side of this rhombus measure the same, and I know this because I have this line here symbolizing, and this side and this side also measure the same. Okay, so that's in the same way that the square is a special case of a rectangle, the rhombus is a special case of the kite, of a kite, because if I see this, I have here this side which measures the same as this side, and I know that because I have here 3 lines to symbolize that they measure the same, and then I have these 2 sides that measure the same. Beautiful. And then you can find the diagonals of these 2 kites, and the area of the rhombi and the kite is quite simple, is half of the multiplication of the diagonals. Okay, wonderful. So I have this summary here for you to take notes. Pause it here and write it here. We haven't covered trapezoids. Put it in here as well because we will do trapezoids later on. It's another of the exercises that we're going to be doing, so it's good if you have it already in your summary. But the exercises that you're going to be doing in JAC Plus are going to be based on the parallelogram, triangles, and rhombi and kites. Okay, girls, wonderful. I hope you find this useful and do your exercises, and then I will solve any questions when I return from camp. Thank you, girls. Bye.